After almost 6 months since the last significant No Man's Sky update, that was Frontiers, a new update drops out of nowhere today in that we received No Man's Sky Sentinel update. And I'm impressed by the significance of this update. This is a pretty meaty one, and we're going to detail that right here in the LZ. Fellow travelers, you have John McClaned your way into the LZ today. Thank you for stopping by while we detail the No Man's Sky Sentinel update version 3.8. I'm going to give my initial thoughts on the gameplay and talk about some of the nuances that you might have missed in the patch notes and the trailer. First things first. I want to call out something mysterious first thing before we talk about the patch notes here. The Sentinel trailer at the 46-second mark shows something super odd that I have never seen in this game before. And if you know Sean Murray, you know that his little hints are deliberate. In this little snippet, you can see the terrain biome change several times. While the shot is glitching, I don't know the significance of that, but right now, currently, No Man's Sky does not do that. And I really want to call out the detail here that the terrain layout is identical every single time, that the only thing that is changing is the biome itself. Very weird, very interesting, and I'm wondering if that's giving us a little bit of a preview for what the summer update is going to look like. I only speculate that because the Nintendo Switch trailer, there was some speculation that there is no multiplayer in the Nintendo Switch version, but Peaceful Gamer did point out, and I'll give him credit because he was the first one that I saw say it, there is a Sentinel companion walking around just sort of willy-nilly, making us think that maybe that is a player-controlled sort of Sentinel character thing. Very, very interesting. So first off, I wanted to point that out, and I wanted everybody to kind of talk about that too, because that's very weird that the game does not do that. It could be something flashy for the trailer, but remember, Sean Murray is very deliberate. He's very direct in his hints, right? And that is just a little too on the nose for me. Anyway, let's talk about the Sentinel update, shall we? And this baby is meaty for just sort of a non-summer anniversary update. I won't make it a long and drawn-out video as far as the patch notes go, but we'll kind of highlight it high level here. As mentioned, it is primarily focused on combat, Sentinel evolution, battle mech evolution. There's a few missions in there. The introduction of flamethrowers, which I definitely got to encounter in my initial playthrough. Lots of visual effect overhauls when it comes to the multi-tools. AMD FSR support, or the Fidelity FX Super Resolution support. So it's a lot like the DLSS support for NVIDIA users like me. So this is going to be really useful for those of you who have super impressive, it says that it's for really any graphics card. I do have an AMD CPU though, so I'm wondering if I can sort of manage using that. I'm not super familiar with FSR. I'm more of a DLSS guy, but this says that maybe we could use both. So, I mean, I'm using DLSS in the footage that you're seeing right now, as a matter of fact, for a nice super crisp image with good performance. Getting a little bit of hands-on time with the new combat, it is definitely frenetic. It's a little, when you first decide to make a Sentinel angry, you have like a wave of like 7 or 8 Sentinels come after you. Most of them are heavily armored, and they're diverse now, which I thought was pretty cool. There are different types of Sentinels. There's a few that are leading the charge as far as the offensive goes, and there's some more support and defensive drones as well. You'll see shields popping up in front of Sentinels. You'll see a summoner drone calling in more Sentinels. I thought that was neat. It was sort of like a triangular drone. I hadn't figured it out what that thing was doing yet because it wasn't attacking me. Turns out it was what was relentlessly spawning in more Sentinels as as I was sort of trying to survive. Also, shield sentinels that are helping to support the entire group as they're all coming after you. I thought that was very impressive. In my build, I was using a particular type of weapon, which made my experience awful. I have not had the chance to upgrade it or do anything significant with it yet. But as you know, what was weird though is it took me a little bit I had to be very deliberate in trying to increase my wanted ranking. It didn't want to go up at first. I was just seemingly endlessly fighting sentinels. It could have been because the summoner drone kept pulling in more for that first wave. It was kind of laborious to get that wanted level to increase a little bit to see the initial the escalation of stronger sentinels, which eventually did happen, where you have this giant bipedal mech come in with a flamethrower and it can jump around like, a little bit like Titanfall. I thought that was pretty impressive. Also, a new addition is that your very own Minotaur exomech can get upgraded, and it also can fight alongside you now with autopilot. Again, a little bit like Titanfall, right? I think it's pretty cool. You can get out, let it support you and fight alongside you. I thought that was pretty neat. This update is coming along with a new expedition called the Exobiology Expedition. The expeditions are pretty fun, so I am glad that it is coming with a new one. I'm pretty excited for that. The expeditions are really engaging pieces of the update where you can play together, explore the same systems together, do the same missions together. It's pretty neat. The overall feel and combat balance were pretty good. Again, I had kind of a crappy multi-tool to fight with. So it was an interesting experience. I look forward to playing around with a lot of the new upgrades they have. They're allowing you to carry more multi-tools, which I think is really good because it allows you to be a little more multi-purpose when you're thinking combat. So they're going from 3 to 6 now, which is great. Moving back to the technology aspect of it, they did add AMD FSR, and now they're expanding the NVIDIA tech as well by adding DLAA technology for those of you who have a kind of a beefy card, right? 3070, 3080, 3090, and the new version of DLSS as well. So that's pretty neat too, that DLSS has been a saving grace for my gaming laptop and the 3070 that I'm playing on. It definitely helps me to dial things a little bit more because I want to get some good fidelity and I want to get good performance out of it too. One of the more significant pieces of this new update is Planetary Sentinel pillars. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I have been encouraging Hello Games to add more structures that you can find on planet surfaces, and, well, this is answering that prayer. A sinister new structure that can be found on planets across the universe. I just said planets, that's funny. The Sentinel pillar serves as a highly guarded control post for Sentinel forces. Players who locate and disrupt the pillar will be rewarded with new stories, weapons, and more. I'm probably going to talk about this more throughout my impressions here, but I'm starting to get the impression that this update is turning the game into a little bit more of like a looter shooter type of deal, right? In my combat experience with the new Sentinels so far, they drop a lot of stuff. They give you a lot of like loot drops, sort of these like otherworldly glass objects that you can break and get upgrades from that you can either use yourself or sell. That's very interesting, right? That gives me a bit of a carrot at the end of the stick to chase. And now these Planetary Sentinel pillar sites, I can raid them and extract whatever materials they have. That's pretty interesting. I'm kind of hoping this is starting to lead towards things like planetary dungeons and things like that for update 4.0. One thing that I don't think is getting a lot of fanfare yet, that's kind of buried in the patch notes, is that No Man's Sky is getting Steam Deck support. Which is interesting. I said in my sort of speculation video about the Nintendo Switch release or the unveiling of the Switch edition that this was going to set it up for the Steam Deck launch as well, for touchscreen controls and things like that. That's actually in the patch notes now too, with specially optimized Steam Deck support. So you Steam Deck owners are about to get some joy for this as well. It looks like they added a lot of new weaponry, a lot of new weapon effects and things like that, which is pretty neat. Here's something players have been asking for a very long time, since launch as a matter of fact. Shut down Planetary Sentinels. Players may now temporarily clear a planet of Sentinels. Defeating the Sentinel forces that are summoned on maximum alert level will now suppress any additional Sentinels across that planet for a limited time. I think it's unfortunate that it's limited. I think if you were to take down like a Sentinel pillar or all the Sentinel pillars on the planet or something like that, it should be permanent. If you have played No Man's Sky for a long time, you know that feeling dreaming of coming across a planet that is ultra gorgeous and you want to set up shop there, build some bases, but it has a giant Sentinel presence that is almost always perpetually annoying. This is kind of a solution for that, and they're making you work for it too, which is really cool. I just wish it was permanent. It says limited time. It doesn't mention what limited time means. Are we talking minutes, hours, days here? The new expedition is going to allow you to have a royal jetpack, which looks pretty. I'm pretty psyched for it, actually. I've been using the OG one for a while from the original concept art of the game. This has wings and stuff on it. It's pretty cool. Multi-tool shops are getting an upgrade and an improvement. Base building is getting a little bit of an addition when it comes to sort of free rotation of any axis for base parts. They significantly increase the amount of companions that you can have from 6 to 18. I always thought 6 was a little limiting, so that's good that they're doing that. I would like for a little more variety and gameplay purpose for the for the companions. I want to have a reason to have a diverse set of companions that do different things for me. We mentioned the Sentinel pillars already, but it also talks about Sentinel archives that can be beneficial to you. A new multi-tool, which I think looks super awesome, the Royal multi-tool. People were joking that it looks like something directly out of Halo, like almost like Hello Games hired some old Bungie devs. A lot of what I'm seeing in the patch notes here has a lot to do with upgrades and weapon capability there, so naturally for a combat update, so to speak, you would think that that would come along with that too. So they've supplemented the combat update aspect very nicely. There's focus on creating your own companion drones, which I think is pretty nice. The chance to reassemble and reprogram your own robotic companion in the form of a friendly Sentinel drone. So as updates go, this is a pretty impressive offering. I was saying, a lot of folks were saying that they were really hoping the new update, whatever it was going to be super meaty, considering it's been, since August, September, since our last update. There was another expedition and emergence that was that happened then, but I think it's kind of cooled off from there. There is the possibility of seeing another update between now and summer when the Switch launches, but so far my initial impressions are I'm pretty impressed. I want to get some more hands-on time with it, but from what I'm gathering so far, my initial impressions are it's kind of a looter shooter now in a way. It doesn't force you to do those things, but it definitely encourages you to. I like the diversity in the Sentinels when I'm fighting with them there. It's almost a little bit like an RPG, right? Where, you have the summoner, you have the support drones, and of course you have the ones that are coming after you pretty aggressively. And of course, this update is now available on all platforms. If you run into any bugs, use the Zendesk on their website to report those. They generally will get to those pretty fast. As a matter of fact, now that the update is available, they will probably shift into bug fix mode, where they're just going to crush out several updates likely before the weekend, which is usually why they like to release their updates on like a Wednesday, so that way they can crush out a couple of big bug fixes before the weekend so they can go out and have a drink or whatever. But I want to hear from you. LZ, tell us what's going on. How do you think of the new update? What are your thoughts? Are you impressed? Have you played it yet? Let us know in the comments section down below. If this was useful to your No Man's Sky experience, pop a like and hang around in the LZ for more. See you in the next one.